Everybody, and welcome to Norm, the Cheers podcast that isn't. We are going to be talking about Knights of the Scimitar, Season 5, Episode 8, an episode I was afraid was not going to be that good, and I actually enjoyed quite a bit. But we must start, we must lead with the tragic passing of one Ms. Kirstie Alley. She died. It was a very big surprise to everyone. She had kept it to herself that she was sick. She had cancer, and her family just announced it yesterday. And very, very sad. Sad that, but I guess a little bit happy that the first thing everyone seems to be remembering is her run on Cheers and not the social media run of the last 3, 4, 5 years. That seems to have been prioritized because Kirstie Alley, she was so funny. She was so funny. And even when we talk about, potentially maybe we wouldn't do the Rebecca years, we're not discussing it, talking about it. It was never because Rebecca wasn't a great character. It was really funny. It was after season 5, it shifted into a different show where it was less, it had less of an arc, and you were more breaking down a traditional sitcom every week. So that's the only reason we've ever talked about that, because I, like many people, have broken open Peacock and gone through some of the Kirstie Alley episodes, and she was so goddamn funny. She was really great. She was coming into a thankless role, replacing a beloved character in Shelley Long. A woman who wanted to leave the show, and it wasn't a matter of oh, this isn't working out or we need fresh blood. It was they wanted to keep Shelley Long and she did not want to stay, and someone had to be cast to take that spot, and what the hell are we going to do? And somehow, against all odds, she came in and killed it. She was just great, and she got better as the years went along. That first year where they were trying to make her one thing and this powerful, titan of industry and aspiring ladder climber. And then when she broke through and found this neurotic version of Rebecca, who was really insecure and could lose it at the drop of a hat, she just got funnier. It was so great. It's a sad feeling. What are you feeling this week, Tookie?
So I don't really have familiarity with Kirstie Alley outside of a VHS of Look Who's Talking.
Mm-hmm.
And classic. Yeah. So I know her essentially post Cheers work. I've seen her there. I hate that I associate her with this, but Jenny Craig commercials, she was the face of it for a while. And that's it's not a knock to her. It's more or less a knock to diet culture and the lack of body inclusivity and body neutrality. Because, body positivity, it's its own kind of can of ferrets, but body neutrality, at least, it speaks to that attitude of that day. But I know her face from, again, when she branched out into movies and family friendly kids stuff and the Jenny Craig commercials every January 1st. More recently, The Masked Singer, she made an appearance on 2 seasons ago. She was unmasked as a big old giant cuddly teddy bear. And that was a season in which they had a lot more veteran actors, senior actors on the show, be the team cuddly. And I, at that point, was taken aback by the fact that so much time had passed between when she was on Cheers to making that appearance on The Masked Singer. And I was like, huh? Kirstie Alley? I had no idea. So it was also a stunning revelation to me, not only that she was sick, which is deeply unfortunate, but that she was also 71. I didn't realize that that much time elapsed.
30 years since Cheers went off the air.
Yeah. So that, and it was wow, but she's still kicking, she's still here, and it looked like she had a ball when she did The Masked Singer. So that, to my knowledge, that was at least her last public appearance. But it was good to see her performing and off a keyboard.
Yeah.
not on a keyboard and enjoying life on stage and performing. So it was really nice to see her in that light. I would have never guessed that she was sick. It's always a bit of a gut punch when someone who you admire and someone whose work you admire. I'm thinking like Chadwick Boseman. Like we didn't know
No.
for the longest time, and so it was like a huge blow.
And both to both to colon cancer.
Both to colon cancer, yeah. And so like Kirstie Alley's body of work did not have the same impact and did not resonate with me the same way as Chadwick Boseman's work, of course, like, for possibly obvious reasons to our viewing audience. but it's still incredibly tragic when someone who's not Rush Limbaugh dies of cancer.
Fair.
Well put.
Thank you.
Yeah. Dave, how are you feeling? Because I feel like it's interesting. You mentioned Chadwick Boseman, and I was, crushed when Chadwick Boseman died. Mm-hmm. This feels a little bit different, and I think it makes a lot of sense just because as much as I love Chadwick Boseman, he was a part of my life for a relatively short period of time. Mm. And what I mourned when Chadwick died was all the work we weren't going to get to see. Everything he was ready to create, and it was taken from him too soon. With Kirstie, it's funny, I feel a different sense of loss because she was a part of my life every week for 6 years. Mm. I mean, she was a constant presence, and especially when syndication was such a big part of your viewing habits, you would see Kirstie Alley multiple times every week if you loved Cheers like I did. So she was this huge presence in my life for a long, long time. I mean, and what you said makes total sense, Tookie. But Dave, are you feeling that on your end?
100%. It's a reminder, and it's a topic we come back to a lot on this show as we look back. Like the idea of that time marches inexorably onward, and we're all as young as we'll ever be in the moment we live in now. Mm-hmm. And I guess and she is, like, outside of Coach, the first cast member we've lost as as fans of this show.
Yeah.
We got to protect Ted and Shelley at all costs now.
Completely.
True.
Don't make sure they are in a bubble. But yeah, Mike and I were talking before we started recording, and we were saying we both kind of went back and watched some favorite Kirstie Alley episodes today. And I realized something, like, she nailed as that character was allowed to evolve, and thank God that character was allowed to evolve. Mm-hmm. It's hard to imagine that leeway being given now with shorter runs and shorter seasons and things. But she really got that, like, Cheers is at its core a story about people that are, like, deeply insecure about their lives, and they have one place they can go and feel like kind of okay.
Yeah.
And that's so, like, that insecurity is so much at the heart of everything in Sam and Diane. And then she became this other version of that insecurity, that inability to like, what am I going to make of my life? Do I need to, it was so emblematic of the late 80s and early 90s and that wave of feminism and that idea, like, what does having it all look like, and are we supposed to have it all, mm-hmm. and what does success look like, and how destructive capitalism was to that notion of succeeding in life. And so much of those later episodes of Cheers, like, really kind of play on that, like, mm-hmm. Sam actually being kind of generally well adjusted, more or less, and Rebecca really kind of feeding the show's that need to explore a consumer to achieve, and she nails it. She nails it every single time in a way that's completely different than Shelley Long, and in a way that, like, I don't think anybody realized that the show probably needed. Mm-hmm. And it's really, she's wonderful in it. She's just absolutely wonderful, and it's I thinking about life and legacy and moving on, I'm always kind of bummed out that, the last few years of her life were spent, politically talking about things that I found myself opposed to, and that's a bummer. And that's, I guess, life in America nowadays. But you can't deny the talent, and I think the talent is hints at what I heard a lot of people say in their retrospectives of her, of someone who's, and as you say in talking about her on Masked Singer, like somebody who was, for all of her possibly questionable opinions, was really like vibrant and fun and smart and funny and effusive. Like it certainly didn't seem like she burned a lot of professional bridges. And
no, everyone who worked with her spoke well of her afterwards and with a lot of affection.
Yeah, I think she was genuinely loved, which I don't think you would necessarily hear that about other celebrities who have, come out with possibly problematic viewpoints. So, yeah, it's a sad day, but like you say, I'm really glad we can lead with us. I'm glad that the remembrances really overwhelmingly lead with a celebration of this person's body of work, because it's a really wonderful body of work.
It is. If you get a chance to watch Wrath of Khan, she's great in that.
She is.
Summer
She's
School.
in that? The Star Trek?
Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan was her very first, that was her first job.
What?
That was her first union job. Yeah, I was reading about that. That was what she got her SAG card for.
What?
She had a good, she said her eyebrows always had this Spock vibe. And she got like a reading, and she just read so many times to get that job.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was her first gig.
Which is bananas, because her whole, like, everything that's great about Kirstie Alley is her emotion, like her ability to access emotions like that and display everything. And like the fact that she got her break playing a Vulcan is bananas.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Oh, also, while we're here, rest in peace to Irene Cara.
Yeah.
God, I loved Irene Cara. I mean, she did not have a ton of hits, but man, the ones she put out there were bangers. Oh my God.
Yeah, we didn't give her enough flowers while she was here, for sure.
Yeah. If all you ever do is Fame, Flashdance, and on the radio, it's like, that's a career.
Oh my God. Like, the fact that on the radio is her number 3 hit, like, that tells you all you need to know. Like, that song is unbelievably good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's baffling to me that she did not go on and like just have a career that spanned 30 years and with outstanding success. Like when she died, it was immediately like, wow, yeah. Like, and she starred in the movie Fame, and she was good in it. And you're just kind of going, I don't understand how there wasn't a long stretch where she was the biggest star in the world. Just like a voice that was unbelievable, so talented. Do we have any idea kind of what happened after that early 80s stretch where we didn't hear a lot more from Irene Cara? Am I underselling the later parts of her career?
I don't know her career at all.
I just know that pocket where she really she just shined. That
chunk, yeah, where she owned the world, and then somehow that just didn't happen anymore. But
I wonder, and this is total speculation on my part, but just based on something I've been seeing as I'm teaching this theater history class, so often women playwrights get, they're remembered for one or two works primarily because they're sort of forced into this role of being, of having multiple jobs. They have to kind of live multiple lives in order to achieve what they want to achieve. They're not just playwrights; they're frequently actors or journalists or they're writing novels. Like they have to kind of be jacks of all trades because nobody's giving them the opportunities to do perhaps the one or two things that they absolutely love. And I wonder if maybe Irene Cara kind of got boxed in a similar way by being so capable. Excuse me, in more than one venue that. She wasn't given the opportunity to like just plow forward and be a Madonna or be a Whitney Houston.
Yeah. Well, what she did unbelievably well. So rather than lament what we didn't get, I'm going to be grateful for what we did get. Irene Amazing. Amazing. And I absolutely was blasting Fame and Flashdance this past weekend, and it held up beautifully.
They're great songs. They're great recordings.
They're
Yeah,
great.
amazing.
They're great. Yeah. And what a, yeah, like, she just had a great voice. When I go back to those 80s voices, like I listen to her and I listen to Cyndi Lauper, and I'm just really kind of blown away by their vocal power. I really am so wildly impressed. You know, as singers who made their splash in the pop world, like the power of their voices really comes back to me, because there are a lot of singers from that time that you go back and you're like, oh, I love the music here, and I get why, like, Debbie Harry was popular, I get why Madonna was popular, but they didn't have voices like Irene and Cyndi.
No.
Like, those were voices. Those are voices. I'm sorry, Cyndi. I know you're a loyal watcher, and you're still out there singing it up. And yes, God bless you. Didn't mean to make everyone pour a little out for Cyndi Lauper.
We think she's fine. We assume she's fine.
As far as I know, fine.
Cindy's chilling. Yeah. It's funny too to listen about, like, well, to think about like the standards for what qualifies as like a good singer, or like what's passable as singing in this day and age. Because like there's this just running gag about how singers today sing in cursive, like not a lot of enunciation, a lot of whisper singing, not a lot of belting and vocal oomph behind a lot of voices today.
Kids, go back and listen to On the Radio. That's how you do it. That's how you sing a song. All right, we got to get to this week's episode. We're already deep into this one. Season 5, episode 8. Dave, what was going on in the world when the Knights of the Scimitar premiered?
November 20th, 1986. And that very day, the World Health Organization announced a, not comprehensive, but at least the beginning, its first sort of worldwide plan of action regarding the AIDS epidemic. The first sort of outlined global response to dealing with the ongoing AIDS crisis. And it was, I read some of the report, and boy, did they paint it in some pretty terrifying terms. And I'm sure Mike will echo my feeling of, you know, when that information kind of trickled down into my 11, 12-year-old ears, like it was a scary time to be alive. And
dude,
certainly some resonances today.
That's how scary it was. It's still on, hasn't come off. I'm terrified.
Absolutely true. Yeah. I don't even, my wife and I share a house, but that's it.
Yeah. I know these young people with their masks. I don't want to wear a mask. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you really, really upset about a barrier between you and the air? You're afraid you're not going to get the full sensation of the wind? What a sacrifice. How are you ever getting through it? Anyway.
Yeah, legit terrifying time to be alive. When doctors are showing up on your TV and your newspaper talking about using words like apocalyptic, it's
no.
This announcement basically happened when we hit puberty.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You don't know.
Yeah. All of my erections come with an asterisk at this point.
Jesus.
Terrifying. Yep. Awful.
I've been reduced to like 1,000-yard Vietnam stare, basically, just thinking about it.
And that's how close we felt to getting to each other. That was our comfort level. 1,000.
Oh man.
When you really liked someone, you just gave them the Vietnam stare.
I guess I should not complain about McGruff the crime dog.
Nope. Because you know what? You felt like you were going to live through McGruff.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, congratulations, Fred McGriff, Cooperstown. All right. Dookie, can you tell us about this week's cold open?
Sure thing. So we have a rare-ish, I want to say, appearance by a fellow letter carrier of Cliff's. We enter the bar, and in walks Mr. Twitchell, mail carrier Twitchell, and he says, "Hi." Oh, people say, "Oh, hi, Woody," and Woody says, "Hi, Mr. Twitchell," and Cliff says, "Oh, well, if it isn't Walter K. Twitchell, the man who put the knee in weenie," because apparently he's got on these mailman Bermuda shorts. And Twitchell says, "Oh, you South Central types are all alike. Oh, a bunch of Weisenheimers," which, wow, what a dig. And Twitchell notices Cliff's attire. Says, "Good Lord, Miss Agnes, you're wearing a postal keychain and you're not on active duty. That's a direct violation of postal regulations. I'm going to report you." And Cliff is like, "Oh, yeah, I'd love to see the supervisor's face when he calls me out to the mat." And I whip out this baby, and he whips out this like thing from his pocket, the little spyglass situation. And shows Twitchell, and he says, "Oh, care to take a peep at the old French peeper here, Twitch? I warn you, it's pretty hot stuff." So Twitchell takes the peeper device and looks through it, sees some boobs, presumably, and goes, "Oh, you're a sick man, Clavin." And everybody laughs because when removing the little peeper thing, it leaves a ring of black ink around Twitchell's eye. And Cliff is mocking him like, "Oh, haha, nice shiner there, Twitch. Yeah, a man can never pass up the chance to sneak a peek at Natalie and her nightie." And he's walking off to like talk to other patrons, and Twitchell says, "Nighty? Wasn't wearing anything I could see." And Cliff's like, "Huh?" Takes a peep, gives himself a ring around the eye, and Twitchell says, "Sweet revenge. Here's the mail, everybody. Have a nice day." Roll credits.
Nice. I enjoyed Mr. Twitchell. He comes back again, if I'm not mistaken. Twitchell will return.
I think he popped into, I think it was season 3. We got a Twitchell sighting.
Oh, yeah, when they tried to get the mail back from him.
Yeah.
Yep, perfect. Yeah. All right, we got a B story and an A story this week. The B story is actually, I think, the Knights of the Scimitar is really the B story of the week, even though it is the titled section of the plot. So Cliff comes in. He has been accepted into the Order of the Knights of the Scimitar, which is, Dave, did you also think that some kind of fraternity of men would be a bigger part of your adult male life? Didn't TV, like the Loyal Order of Water Buffaloes, whatever Mr. Cunningham belonged to, the thing with the fezzes, like I really just kind of assumed at some point I was going to be a part of some kind of men's group with a hat.
My dad was an elk for like a hot second.
Oh,
and
wow.
Then he realized he hated everything about it, I think. And it wasn't much like Norm. It wasn't going to help his business prospects. And he was like, "Well, forget this." Yeah, I always assumed that whenever I hear about an organization whenever I hear about a secret fraternity, I automatically assume they're probably anti-Semitic and wouldn't want me anyway. So I never assume that I would join.
But you're a part of the Jews, and that's a big group to be a part of, right?
It's a larger fraternity.
Yeah, notoriously not anti-Semitic.
That's true. One of the major tenets of that particular group is our embracing of other Jews.
There you go, and you even have a hat.
Great point. Great point.
There you go. All right. So Cliff has gotten into the Order of the Knights of the Scimitar, and he's saying, "One of you lucky guys, I could bring you along. You could be a part of the group too." None of them want to do it. They try to guess a number between 1 and 10. They all guess around 3 million, or 2 million and 12, 2 million 13, 2 million 14. Norm is the closest. Norm has no interest in joining. Cliff says, "Oh, you could get a lot of clients out of it. You'd be a good accountant." Well, that could be good. Ends up getting interviewed, piece of cake, gets accepted right away, goes to the meeting. They're going to, he's saying, if anybody needs an accountant, no, it's against bylaws to actually do business with anyone else in the group. All right, of course, Cliff makes that mistake. In Cliff's defense, he's a mailman. He's not going to necessarily know that rule and is he breaking the rule if he delivers mail to any of these men? That is my question. So, but Norm is still saying, all right, well, I'm going to be a part of the group. They do the induction ceremony, which is a very funny moment. I thought there were a lot of very funny moments in this week's episode. I like that. Go grab yourself a turban and a hat from the box. My God, the pageantry. I enjoyed all of that. Cliff's apologizing, didn't know about the business rule. Norm says, yeah, it's a good time to find that out, but I really like this group of guys. I feel like I could be comfortable here. Then he finds out that we're going to have big parties. And then he finds out, yeah, no more beer at meetings. I'm out of here. That's the end of that plot line. It was quick. It was simple, but I liked it. It was funny. It just kind of shows you how badly Cliff needs to be a part of a group, and Norm really doesn't. It's fun for him to be a part of it, but you sort of know Norm is one of those people, wherever he goes, people are going to want to have him around, and Cliff needs a membership, and that you kind of understand them a little bit better after that. The A story, The Romancing of Diane by Lance Apollinaire, which is my 80s moment of the week when studs were named Lance. That's my day.
Yeah, the straightest name you could possibly come up with was Lance.
Wow. There you go, Lance Apollinaire. It's absolutely fantastic. So Diane is sighing. She's trying to get Sam's attention. He's asking what's wrong. She was a teacher's assistant a week ago. One of the students fell in love with her. He's over 21. We find that out later. So it's not super creepy, but still, Diane, man, she is just always eating in the market where she works. I don't understand it. She's got to meet people somewhere else. Like, she's only dated Sam and Fraser, who was a doctor where she was hospitalized, and the student where she teaches. It's just weird. I know there's no Tinder yet, but you got to meet people some other way.
Yeah.
Even what's his her fiance she TA'd for.
Yeah,
Sumner. Yeah.
Yep. It's everybody. Good. That's a glaring omission on my part. Absolutely correct. So this young stud is in love with her. She doesn't know what to do. And she's saying it to Sam to make him jealous. But also that she's tempted because he is so handsome. Sam is trying to act indifferent, but is clearly getting jealous, is talking about it all. He's starting to me, it was also one of the first episodes, because I watched the sex addiction episode later on with Kirstie Alley. And it felt like one of the first times he started to really worry about losing his looks, and was just saying, Carla, who's the best looking guy you know? And she was really, really egging him on about it. And so he's feeling insecure. He thinks at first that Lance is completely made up because the name is Lance Apollinaire. Then Lance shows up with flowers. He is a thorough 80s stallion, got the jean jacket on, got the feathered hair. The man is straight off of GQ 86. Tookie, do you approve of Lance Apollinaire?
Hard yes.
Yeah.
I would risk it all for Lance.
Yes, Lance gets the approval of Diane, Carla, and Tookie Kavanaugh. Absolutely.
Tookie, I think you would need Carla's bar chair to access Lance's face.
Yeah. I mean, he's up there, but yeah.
But the climb is worth it.
It's absolutely worth it.
It's what a view from the peak.
Yeah.
So Lance is real. Lance wants her to go away with him to Vermont, which carries on the proud Cheers tradition of somehow a first date is a weekend away at a New England inn. I have never seen this in my adult life as that being everyone's first date. But yeah, let's go to Cape Cod. Let's go to Vermont. Let's go to Portland. I don't get it, but this is what they do on Cheers. So Lance wants to take her away to Vermont. She is saying, I'm going to go, Sam. I'm going to go. He's saying, fine, go. I don't care. He's clearly tortured by it. She's saying, I'm going to give you a preview of what this weekend is going to look like. She gives Lance a kiss, goes back. He says, oh, yeah, I don't care. Does a fake yawn. Says, yeah, he treats you good and I don't. So go with him. She's ready to go with him. And then he says, of course, it would have bothered me if he kissed you like this. And then did a passionate kiss. She's embracing him. She completely forgets Lance's name, which is a great moment. Yeah. And it was really wonderful. Like Lance, by the way, Lance should have had a career. I really liked after the kiss when he says, so you ready to go? That guy should have had a better career than he got.
Yeah.
A lot of soap work for that actor.
Oh, I can see it.
Okay. So, yeah, he's getting ready to go. Carla says, it really would have bothered him if you had kissed her like this. Attacks Lance, which is somehow always acceptable when it's Carla. You can forcibly kiss without consent when you're Carla Tortelli. End of the episode.
Yeah, it's still weird. It's still weird, but she gets away with it. I don't know what it is.
She gets away with it. Yeah. Which is my 80s thing of the week, other than Lance. Yeah, I'm sorry. That was my second 80s thing, is kissing without consent comedy.
Yeah.
Good times. I enjoyed it. It furthered the Sam-Diane relationship. You could tell that everything is getting to a boil. Something has to happen. And it was very fun. It was just the right amount of time with all these supporting characters. Woody had good jokes. I love when there's a real understanding of the Cliff and Norm dynamic. They're clearly friends. I liked seeing them step out of the bar for a little bit. That was fun. That guy who's in a ton of commercials over the last 30 years was the head of the Knights of the Scimitar. That was fun.
He was great.
Right? It was really good. Yeah. What do we think of this week overall?
Pleasantly surprised.
Right? Thought it was going to be a filler episode. Was not a filler. No. Lots of good stuff in this week. Well written one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like it felt like it was really helpful in terms of, like, as you say, like kind of like pushing us towards Sam and Diane, but also showing us like a different kind of side of that. It wasn't the Cape Cod episode. It wasn't like, it was, for once we got a sense of like maybe Diane's gonna try it, like to be a little bit more of a I don't know, like maybe like for a while I was like, oh, maybe Diane is like thinking about moving on. And it was interesting hearing Diane talk about Lance in this like nakedly sexual way. Like she was into him, and that, like, I don't think she was putting that on for Sam's benefit. She was maybe saying it for his benefit, but I think she believed it. And that was fun to kind of like get a little inside of Diane's kind of carnal desires.
The libido was on full display this week.
Is it the horniest episode of Cheers we've seen, though? Because we've seen some stuff at this point.
No, it's not the horniest we've seen.
It's pretty horny, though.
Yeah.
But remember the opera episode where it's like they were super horned up at the end of that?
True.
They were like really, I mean, this almost felt like more romantic than, she was definitely horny for Lance, but it wasn't like, where she's talking about him in his bikini briefs. But I feel like there have been randier moments.
Fair.
Yeah, maybe she wasn't quite as verbal. Like, I feel like Lance in his bikini briefs is doing a lot of work of the horniness ratio in this week's episode.
Carla also like brings, like, she helps kind of up the horny quotient too, with the double feint and the later full on assault. Maybe it is the horniest.
I'm still assessing.
Okay.
I'm assessing.
That's going to be a nice wrap up for season 5. Is like, what is the horniest episode to date?
It's in the running. Can't lie. It is there. It is safely in the running. I enjoyed it. All right. Let me see. Joke of the week. My joke of the week was when, after the Sam and Diane kiss, just Diane's delivery of, yes, I could see where that would be concerning for you. It floored me both times. Really loved it. It's very, very, very nice delivery. Yes. Took your joke of the week.
Well, when Sam goes up to Woody, who's the handsomest man you know? And he says, Carla's butcher.
Great moment.
Yeah. Just a build on of that whole back and forth he had with Carla before. So
that's easy. Carla's butcher.
Yeah.
Very, very nice joke.
Yeah.
Give your joke of the week.
I'm going to go with Carla's second fall. It really, I loved it. I don't know if they ADR'd a thud or how they did that, but both falls were great, but the second one was, I thought, exceptional.
Absolutely true. Dave, your 80s thing of the week.
Gotta be Dwight Evans as the handsomest man in Boston.
Woohoo!
Not wrong, Carla Tortelli. That man was a good-looking Sox member.
I gotta look this up because I don't know. Hold on. Who the
Back
hell is
to that 80s mustache. I'm going to tell you right now, Tom Selleck ripped off Dwight Evans.
Mm-hmm.
a baseball player?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I think like 8 out of the 9 starters on that 86 World Series team had mustaches.
I think you're right, and yet there was only one of them that
No, see, I have got Dwight Evans, a black man with a bald head and a mustache who ran and won Pennsylvania's House District 3.
You can clearly see how different Tookie's searches are. Because I promise you, that is not the Dwight Evans I would get were I to type Dwight Evans into Google.
That is not the poster I had on my wall. I was not a big fan of the 3rd District.
Okay, I've got Dwight Evans rookie card.
Oh, he might not have even had a mustache his rookie year.
No, he didn't.
Young.
That the stash comes later.
He needed the stash that rookie year. No disrespect.
Type in Dwight Evans 1986.
Hold on, Dwight Evans. I'm on the
And
hunt.
get ready. Make sure you're sitting down. I don't want you to fall.
Looks like Tom Selleck.
Thank you. She said like that's not high praise.
It just looks like Tom Selleck. He looks like Magnum PI or whatever the.
Oh, you mean the handsomest man of the 80s in TV?
I guess by 80s.
Like?
Yeah, if Tom Selleck could throw out a runner at third base from right field with a freaking laser.
Thank you. Dwight Evans owned his Ferrari. Wasn't on loan.
I mean, no disrespect, but I think I will take Pennsylvania's Democratic third House representative.
Look, I haven't seen Pennsylvania's third House representative, but I'm sticking with Boston's Dwight Evans.
All right.
I'm taking a peek at this guy.
That's who came up when I Googled Dwight Evans.
Let's see. Come on, give me a picture. Really?
All right. Yeah. The heart wants what the heart wants.
Let me ask you this question: which climb you enjoy more, Representative Dwight Evans or Lance Apollinaire?
Lance Apollinaire.
I said I would risk it all for Lance. I mean, that stands.
Okay.
What would we not sacrifice for Lance Apollinaire? Man, we've gotten some good names to check into hotels under the last few weeks.
Honey, what was that? Honey boy.
Air.
Oh, what was it? It was like Honey Boy Jenkins or something. It was, that wasn't it, but it was so good.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you right now, like, not enough people watch this for I think it to be a legitimate danger, but if I ever do have to go into hiding, there's a decent chance my fake name will either be Lance Apollinaire, which probably won't. I don't think I can live up to that, or Sumner Sloan. I think there's a real good chance I would be Dr. Sumner Sloan.
Or how about just Lance Sumner?
No, oof, that's like somehow you put together the worst of the pair.
Very Garfunkel and Oates kind of combination.
If we put peanut butter on this steak.
No.
You like them separately. Why don't you put them together?
You are going to be so easy to find. We're just going to comb through secondary characters from the first 6 seasons of Cheers.
And you're not even going to realize that Benson Dubois has fooled you all. All right, Tookie, your 80s moments of the week, please.
Yes. Let me pull up the list real quick. Okay. Long keychains, just wearing. Excuse me. Hiccups. I wolfed down my lunch today.
Sounds like
wearing long keychains. I feel like they'd had a resurgence in like the early 2000s, but it was more like a punk thing than a job thing. But long keychains on the job leapt out at me.
1 second. Hey, buddy, I'm recording the podcast. I'm downstairs recording the podcast. It's okay.
Hi, everybody.
I didn't want to get distracted with being responsible for another human life. Keep going. Cheers.
Okay. The gag peepers, little gag toys like such, you don't see those two around anymore.
We need more.
Jokes about aftershave felt very 80s to me. A reference to Mrs. Robinson felt very 80s to me, which, like, as it turns out, she was like, what, 32, which is insane.
Was she really?
I guess
No, she was older than that. Because she was born, I actually looked this up because of the Curse Galley thing. I was wondering about age. Shelley Long, I believe, born in 49. This is 86. So she was 36, 37 here.
Oh,
I thought you meant Anne Bancroft was
Anne
was
Bancroft.
32.
My apologies. Yes,
Yeah.
you are correct. I apologize.
No worries, no worries.
It's only like a 2-year age difference between Anne Bancroft and Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah.
Bananas! I never knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Anne Bancroft was like 31 years old. Or Dustin Hoffman was like 31, and Anne Bancroft was 33 or 34.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bonkers.
By the way, speaking of Jews, good job, Mel Brooks.
Mel Brooks winning again.
Mm-hmm.
I would also like to recommend The Automat on HBO. Very fun documentary about the automats.
Mm.
Like a very
HBO Max.
obscure, random little bit of information, and this thing that was very specific, but I enjoyed. Anyway, sorry. Yay, Mel Brooks.
So yeah, the Mrs. Robinson reference, because that was still very much like a pop culture staple at the time. Carla making a cross-dressing joke at Cliff's expense. That was a yeesh. 80s moment.
I feel like I yes, but did not stop after the 80s.
Right. Fair enough. But it was very much like a blatant, like, haha, we found the J. Edgar Hoover Polaroids kind of moment.
That really went through to like 2010-ish. I feel like that would
Probably.
pop in.
Probably.
Yeah.
Which, like, no disrespect to anybody's gender identity, but J. Edgar Hoover's fashion and personality, trash. Make better choices. Anyway, reference to Night's Lodges, as we'd mentioned before, because what made me think of this is like early. I watched all early 9 seasons of the Simpsons under duress because of a certain someone in the house who's a big fan of a Simpsons purist, if you will. So I was thinking about like the Stonecutters kind of episodes and how just
great episode.
Yeah, and how that's just like a thing. It was very much a thing, these lodges. Speaking of handsome dudes, Robert Redford. Making mention of Robert Redford, because I did Google a young Robert Redford at one point. My God, I get it. References to, sorry. References to Hoovers as a standard name for a vacuum. Because now you just say vacuum, but like the vacuum du jour is definitely a Dyson.
Yep.
But when you say Hoover, it's synonymous with vacuum. Oh,
Yep.
It sucks like a Hoover. Like,
Yep.
People see that. Somebody getting carded in the 80s is just funny because Sam carded Lance. And then a man in bikini briefs specifically, because now you say Speedo and that kind of image comes to mind. But to say a man in bikini briefs.
Yeah.
80s.
I don't think that carries quite the sexual allure that it did in 1987.
Yeah.
Fair. Tookie, how white was this week's episode?
Oh, they tried. It was one of those episodes where it's like, oh, you came close. Okay, so in the cold open, we had a black man with a nice big, like a juicy fro. You can tell he picked it out for this episode. He's like, I'm going to be seen as a background extra, and respect to you, sir. A black man with a fro up at the upper booth, 2 black men at the back of the bar who were behind Woody, and a black woman who passed behind Cliff towards the jukebox. And then in scene 1, we had a black man and a black woman in the hallway. And a black man who came downstairs from Melville's. We're good. I'm trying to count everybody. So somebody who appeared ethnic, who was sitting down by Geronimo, a black man who was sitting behind Norm, an Asian man behind Woody. In scene 2, a black man and woman who were sitting at the bar, a black woman who was standing by the piano, an Asian man at the black bar who was a repeated extra. So I don't know if we're necessarily going to count him, but an Asian woman at the back wall. Damn it. Excuse me. next to him, another ethnic woman, we'll say, who was behind Norm, a black woman behind the back corner of the bar, and another ethnic man who was in the hallway. Scene 3, it was all the repeated people. And scene 4, none, because we were in the Elks Lodge. And scene 5, I only spotted one black man who passed behind Sam. So that is a total of, I believe, 13 people. Close. We're not quite at hitting the 20s yet, but decent.
Teens. Jerry Lee Lewis would say, 13.
You know.
Not bad.
Not terrible.
Yeah. Close enough. All right. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I feel like there's not a ton to break down in it, but I really liked it. I feel like the last few episodes have been very much the writer's room confirming, look, they are going to get back together. We're just figuring it out. They can't deny it. They're just pretending at this point. So if you're wondering, look, we're getting them together, and we're maybe a couple of episodes away from that.
They're close.
Yeah.
They're close. I feel it.
We are close.
There's much more of like a feeling of a fuse being lit in this episode than there was in the previous one.
Mm-hmm.
Like the restaurant episode didn't really move the needle. This one, I was like, with that kiss at the end, it's like, all right, things like something needs to shift here.
Yeah, and it just, I'm kind of, I don't know, why not focus more on that night situation? If you're going to title the episode that's my only gripe with this episode.
Yeah. It's, I think it's just, look, this is the only bit of the story that we have to tell from the Knights of the Scimitar. As much as I enjoyed it, it's like, they're not coming back here. We're getting our jokes in, and then we're done. I don't think there's a lot more meat on the bone there.
I guess. It was just funny. I don't know.
Because they can't be too powerful a group if Cliff's a part of it.
True.
Yeah.
This is not the kind of group that dials 912.
Cliff Clavin is not a Freemason.
No.
We do not have a member of the Illuminati in show.
You'd like to think he is, though.
By the way, is Ted Danson 6'3"?
He's 6'2.5".
Ah.
There you go. So he lied to poor Lance Apollinaire.
He did.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I will say something else I got from this episode. I want jean jackets back on a regular basis.
They're out here.
That jean jacket, I'm like, he is wearing the bejesus out of that. That looks terrific.
I have a denim shirt which I'll wear over a t-shirt on a cool or warmish day, and let me tell you, I feel like I am the height of cool when I don that sucker.
Because you are, Dave. You are.
I just bust out my jean jacket with the shirling inside.
What's that? I don't know what that is.
The shearling.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. Nice little fuzzy synthetic lamb.
Ah.
Because we care about the animals.
Mm-hmm.
We do care about the animals.
Yeah.
Speaking of my dad had that jacket as well. I don't know if he ever wore it to an Elks meeting, but he definitely had that jacket at the same time that he briefly had a dalliance with the local Elks Lodge.
I feel like your dad knows things, Dave.
I'm legit scared to ask sometimes.
Like,
I think that's my design.
Retrospectives on the moon landing and just kind of chuckle to himself. Yeah. Sure, we went there.
Looking at the end zone at Giant Stadium, be like, they're never digging that up.
Thank God. There's a reason that stadium in Manhattan didn't get approved.
Oof. No, I don't know if I'm going to sleep tonight.
That's okay. You're not missing anything.
All right.
I slept last night.
Was it okay?
Fine.
All right. I'll take it.
Oh, one more passing this week that really hit me. Bob McGrath died yesterday.
Oh, that really stung.
Do I know Bob McGrath's work?
Bob from Sesame Street.
Oh, Bob!
These are the people in your neighborhood.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. it's been such a long time since I've watched Sesame Street in earnest,
Mhm.
other than like, random clips when a fave celebrity is on or something. Um,
It was 7 years for me. We definitely did the Sesame Street run here when Kyle was little, and Bob was still popping up every once in a while.
yeah.
Yeah, he made the occasional cameo appearance.
Yeah. How old was he?
He was,
90.
I mean, yeah, he was not cheated.
Yeah, quite a
He was in
run.
the premiere episode in '69, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
R.I.P. the goat.
Yeah, you can go back and yeah, Christmas Eve on Sesame Street is on YouTube if you'd ever like to
Oh,
watch.
Mm,
the perfect Christmas special.
It's a great one.
yeah. And there's entirely too much lost media in terms of Sesame Street, especially with all the network shifts and
Yeah.
HBO's back and forth. Yeah. Oh, man.
Yep. I was very sad when they went to HBO.
Yeah.
People acted like it was not a loss, and it was a loss.
Hmm. Hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they still air them a year later on PBS, but
Yeah, but
it's a year later.
yeah,
Like
that's
people
unfair. It
work
feels unfair.
here. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, I don't like it. Anyway, a life very well lived, Bob McGrath. Thank you for everything.
Yeah, 100% would have gotten in. As a child of the '80s, cautioned against anything to do with strangers. I would have gotten in Bob McGrath's car at any time and felt entirely safe. And what's more, I think my parents would have put me in Bob McGrath's car.
Yep. Bob McGrath could pull up in a windowless van and get out in red stained overalls, and you would absolutely still get in the car.
Oh, man.
I
No.
would
That
only
really
go.
speaks to his character, huh?
I would only go back in the house to grab my vinyl copy of Bob McGrath sings the ABCs or whatever, just so he could autograph it in the van.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. So Dave is going to be, when he recovers from COVID, getting on stage in the Humans again this weekend.
I'll be back theoretically if everything holds according to plan. I should be back on stage on Saturday night.
Well, luckily, COVID rarely surprises us, so I think
Yeah.
that's something you can easily count on. Tookie, anything to plug?
What is going on this week? This Thursday, Sam Adams Tap Room in Faneuil Hall. Friday, the Green Room in Somerville doing sketch with Suzzy. And Saturday, 2 Don't Tell comedy shows in a secret location somewhere in the Back Bay.
Don't Tell is fun. Every time I did those, I had a good time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
A good time.
Excellent. So, and people can get tickets for that at don'ttellcomedy.com, right?
Correct.
You go there, you buy the tickets, and that's the hook, is you don't know exactly where it's happening until the day of. You get a text.
I'm not even supposed to say that I'm on the lineup. Oops. Yeah. But like, I technically didn't tell much more other than that.
You're fine. You're fine.
Yeah.
All right, excellent. I, as usual, am nowhere. Good. All right. Until next week, I'm Mike. That's Dave. That's Tookie. We had a fun week talking about all this stuff. We'll miss you, Kirstie Alley. And God bless you, Irene Cara.